The US and Israel have launched a joint attack on Iran, with President Donald Trump declaring major combat operations are underway. In Tehran this morning, smoke rose above the city with major damage seen in the capital, while other cities across the country were also targeted. The US president vowed to obliterate Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities. It's understood the UK is not involved in what America has dubbed Operation Epic Fury. Israel is calling it Operation Lion's Roar, and sirens rang out there as it declared a state of emergency, and people took shelter from Iranian missiles fired in retaliation. Explosions were also seen across several other countries in the region where the US has military bases. There were explosions in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, with one person reported killed as debris fell on a residential area of Abu Dhabi. Well, in a video released this morning, President Trump warned the US could suffer casualties and appeared to support regime change in Tehran, urging Iranian citizens to use the opportunity to take over their government.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. To the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, said the operation on Iran was to remove an existential threat, adding it would continue for as long as necessary.
The objective of the operation is to put an end to the threat from the Ayatollah regime in Iran. At this time, the IDF is attacking targets of the oppressive regime, facilities of the Revolutionary Guard, along with the United States military, targeting ballistic missile sites that threaten both Israel and US forces.
Well, our senior international correspondent, John Irvine, is in Tel Aviv. John, a lot has happened this morning, hasn't it? What is the situation like there in Israel right now?
Faye, good afternoon from Tel Aviv, which is as quiet as I've ever seen it, particularly on a Saturday. Nobody is on the streets. Everyone is staying at home or very close to home. The mood, I think, is a mixture of apprehension and stoicism. Every hour or so far today, an air raid siren has sounded. But what is different between now and what happened last June is the number of Iranian ballistic missiles coming this way is down. We're talking about the Iranians firing dozens of missiles towards Israel rather than the hundreds we saw fired in salvos during the 12-day war back in June. And there are no reports, by the way, of consequential impacts here in Israel. Now, the reason for that is, of course, the Americans are involved this time round. Why attack, from the Iranian perspective, why attack little Satan when you can attack the great Satan in his Gulf bases? And I have to say, the unprecedented aspect of this war so far is the Iranian attacks on the American bases in those Gulf states, Kuwait, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Qatar. Some pretty big explosions, Faye, in Abu Dhabi and Bahrain, I have to say. And of course, from the Iranian perspective, the ultimate currency in this war is dead Americans. And those US bases in the Gulf are far less well defended than the State of Israel is. And of course, they're far closer to Iran, which makes them more vulnerable to missile attack.
So, John, where would it go from here? We've had talks between the US and Iran in very recent days. Presumably, further talks are now off the table.
I think so. I mean, from the Iranian perspective, what's there to talk about? We saw President Trump on his social media network saying that, he's not after incremental changes. He's not talking only about the nuclear program. He's not talking only about missiles. He's talking about regime change. And presumably the Iranians aren't going to sit down at the negotiating table to discuss the Ayatollah's surrender. So I think we're going to see more of the same over the next few days or a few weeks. I don't think this will last for months. This is a war of bombs and missiles, supplies of which are finite. But while we've got some way of telling what damage the Iranians are inflicting with their retaliatory fire, we know less about the damage that's being inflicted on Iran itself. But we know that it's far greater than any damage that they're managing to do. By the way, you can probably hear another alarm which suggests more Iranian ballistic missiles are heading this way.
OK, John Irvine in Tel Aviv. And do stay safe there too, John, with those alarms going off. Well, as we mentioned earlier, we do understand the UK is not involved in this operation against Iran, but British nationals could be impacted. Our political reporter, Jasmine Cameron-Chaleshi, is in Downing Street. So, Jasmine, what's the government here had to say about this?
So, as you say, we understand that the UK did not participate in these strikes, and this follows some reporting last week that the British government had refused to give the US permission to use UK military bases for any potential strike on Iran. Now, in response to these attacks, the Prime Minister chaired a Cobra meeting, but ahead of that, Number 10 issued quite a cautious statement. They reiterated the government's position that Iran should never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, adding that the UK has continually supported efforts to reach a negotiated solution. The government said that the UK stands ready to protect its interests in the region. But Downing Street also said the UK does not want to see a further escalation into a wider regional conflict. And Downing Street stressed that the government's immediate priority is the safety of UK nationals in the region, and said that individuals will be provided with consular assistance. This language really echoes that of the Foreign Office, which has issued a warning to British nationals in regions like the United Arab Emirates, urging them to seek shelter and remain indoors. And so certainly British officials in the door behind me in the Foreign Office will be spending the next few hours really closely monitoring the situation and reiterating their calls for a de-escalation of the situation.
OK, our political reporter, Jasmine Cameron-Chaleshi in Downing Street there. For now, Jasmine, thank you very much. Well, Amy Lewis is with me in the studio now. Amy, this is a fast-developing situation. What is the very latest we're hearing this lunchtime?
Well, the latest that we're hearing from and seeing in Iran are videos emerging. Some show a real sense of panic, people running down the streets, but also there's that sense of, in some cases, perhaps relief that change may be coming. Now, the Iranian government has reiterated in the last half an hour or so that it does have a right to defend itself. We've seen, as John mentioned earlier on, those retaliatory attacks, a wave of missiles and drones across the Middle East. That's exactly what Iran promised to do, to attack US assets in the Gulf if they were attacked themselves. As a result of those unprecedented attacks, now major airlines here in the UK have diverted and cancelled flights from the UK to the region. The airlines have cited safety reasons and they have apologised to customers. Just to recap, we have, of course, seen this morning that significant update with US and Israel attacking Iran. They are citing regime change, calling on the people to take over the government there. And both of those nations, Israel and the UK, have said that they expect this to last for days.